Hey, I'm Keith Keppner.
And I'm Melissa Keppner.
So we were sitting here talking about our performance in our first quarter of 2021. And we want to make a video because we're talking about some of the relevant factors and reasons for why our first quarter in 2021, we outdid the first quarter in 2019 by 24%. And we're not comparing it to 2020 because, like everyone knows, that would be too easy of a fight, right? If you're going to compete your numbers against something, don't compete it against what you know was not the best, right? Because with shutdowns, all that stuff. So it's not fair. We could brag a bigger number, but we're not going to do that. We're going to brag the 24% increase number. But we're talking about why was that? So the first thing that we're talking about is programming. So and first with programming, the biggest difference between 2019 versus 2021 for Keppner Boxing, Keppner Boxing model is the elimination of some extra stuff.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest thing we eliminated?
So biggest thing we eliminated was our longest standing program, which was our kids boxing program for ages 6 to 11.
Yep.
And so we still train children as young as 6, but we train them in small group environments or one-on-one through personal training.
Yeah.
And so that was a big decision to make, one, just because it was our longest standing.
It was scary.
One of our longest standing programs. It was scary. We got good feedback on the program, but it required more overhead. It required 2 instructors, things like that. So it just wasn't as profitable.
Yeah, to do it right.
And
also as well, like with business, anyone knows, but also with life, you always run into trouble when you try to be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
Instead of really refining what it is that you're going to be the best at.
Yeah.
And that's like you've mentioned with we only do boxing.
Yeah.
And that's why we're able to provide high quality boxing training versus if we were like providing 4 or 5 other martial arts.
Exactly.
But then also the same thing with our demographic, with who we serve.
Yeah.
You know, there's a nice carryover and kind of like extra amount of people that we hit, but there's a core demographic that the business goes after and serves the best.
Yes,
really.
Absolutely.
And so eliminating that and cutting that out, as hard as it is, as much as it sucks, it does lead to a better revenue and better performance as a business, better service to the clients.
Yeah.
And like you had mentioned when we were talking, it allows for our coaches to be more focused, to become more expert at what they do and working with the individuals they do. And then our resources were able to go more into personal training, small group.
Yeah.
It's just kind of really streamlined the whole process.
Absolutely.
Which again, the more streamlined your business is, the more successful it is typically.
Yeah.
And then also with programming is plugging in our corporate workouts.
Yeah.
Because back in 2019, right, how did we run it?
Man, I mean, so I wasn't teaching at that time. You were still coaching some sessions. You're still coaching a good amount of sessions, actually. Yeah. At least 10 hours a week, I would say.
That's right.
And you were programming all of the workouts that you would
for myself,
teach, and then the other coaches that we had would write their own workouts. That you would approve of or whatnot, and they would write them under your guidance. But there's still a lot of room for inconsistency. There's still a lot of room for burnout, which was always my major concern with not just you, but with our coaches in general. Yeah. Well,
frankly, a big concern. Yeah, because one that a lot of people don't think about. The consistency thing is obvious. Yeah. A lot of people don't think about that it is time intensive. Like I know, people that I mentor and everything else, that they spend so much time writing workouts for their personal training clients or stuff like that. It's just a real time intensive portion that burns people out. They end up getting stale and repeating themselves all over the time.
And they don't like what they're doing. They're not enjoying what they're doing anymore. Yeah. So.
And then also though, it's like, man, I know just sometimes coaches would just default for a certain type of workout and wouldn't be the best, and they would lose the essence of what that particular session was supposed to be all about. Yeah. And so we know that truly that the changing over to the corporate workouts and the curriculum has led to that revenue increase because the quality of service is not only consistent, but it's higher quality.
Yeah, and what I completely forgot about it was our retention rates and how much those have increased. Oh. And so, I believe that that's a direct correlation
as well. That's one of the biggest factors.
Correlations, yeah,
obviously. And then jumping to, let's talk about the changes in how we do memberships. from 2019 versus now.
Yes.
So we switched it. We switched it quite a bit. Something that at least like in the United States you don't see that often. You're seeing it more and more.
A little bit more and more, but it's still like people are usually real surprised.
But so what is it?
So we switched from doing monthly billing to weekly billing. So we still offer, you know, our prepaid annual and quarterly memberships.
Yeah, like 52 weeks.
Yeah, 52 weeks, or you know, your 13 week 3 month type membership. But you have the option as well also to pay weekly.
Yep.
And everything is based off that weekly rate. So if you're signing up, we have a 12-month annual where you can pay 4 weeks up front and then just pay week by week by week.
So what's the benefit? So what's the benefit for the client?
So the benefit for the client is there's a lower barrier to entry a lot of times.
So it's easier to sign people up, and it's easier for a person to sign up.
That's right.
No matter what your economic situation is, you can probably make that first week.
Exactly. Right? Probably make at least that first week. It doesn't become a budgeting issue anymore where it's like I got to wait till I have $150 now.
Yeah.
So it's most people don't have, or most people have, you know, 25 or 30 bucks in their account each week. But sometimes things come up and you might not have that 100 or 150 bucks and you forgot about it and it draws out and whatnot.
Yeah, so they have 20, 30 bucks in their account and that's what the draw is. Then you're not going to have the defaults, the chargebacks, anything like that. And then that can also lead to longer retention as well, because we've seen a funny thing is like sometimes good members that are just kind of, you know, a little bit financially, you know, on the edge, they'll rack up a debt. Or like an overdraft to their account and all this other stuff, and then they won't come back. And we'll
because they're embarrassed. It's,
because our model here in Athens, average household income is $38,000 a year. You know, we still succeed and thrive as a business, but you know, we're working with a unique group.
Lower income,
lower income. And so that's a factor. But then, as far as the business side of it goes, or the ownership goes, is that if you only charge 12 times a year, you're missing out on 4 weeks of revenue because not every month is equal.
Yep. So you have that 52 weeks, which equates to the 13th month.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like a 13 month that you don't get.
And when you're talking about the weekly draws and like the balances and things like that, you also they resolve on their own. So. You know, the transactions that don't go through that day on Monday or whatever, whoever's account doesn't get drawn out. A lot of times those resolve on their own in just a couple days because you're talking about 25 or 30 bucks, not 100 or 120 bucks.
And so then the last factor, or excuse me, the second to last factor is sales. So the sales have been a lot better. We've really upped our game, obviously changing the making it weekly option could ease that process, but it didn't automatically make it better.
It did not automatically make it better.
Really, the biggest changes we've seen is utilizing different sales strategies like that we provide for franchisees. There's so many of them. One is anchoring, right? So we had a contest in the first quarter of 2021 where the team was challenged to see who could sell the most prepaid, right? So the highest ticket item, who could sell that when it was applicable, right? Not to someone who was not only going to be in the area for 3 months, right? Or something like that. But when it fit, sell that. And what's amazing is the team only sold a couple of those.
Yeah, they only sold a few.
So it didn't actually directly lead to the revenue increase of 24%. But what it did is it anchored everything up, so literally it made selling the second thing easier, right? The second highest or the third highest thing easier. But then also it makes sales easier in general, because if I'm trying to sell you something for $20,000, then it's pretty easy if you say no to then maybe sell you something for $2,000 or $200, right?
It still brought up the average ticket.
Sign up value.
Yeah, the sign up value per client still went up.
Still jumped.
By about $30.
Yeah. So it brought it up, and they've done this. They've demonstrated this. Like I know, like a beer company did this with like 3 different types of beers, and the higher they brought up the anchor, the higher it brought up the average buy or the average.
Exactly.
So we've seen an effect in using strategies like that, but then also consistent role playing. Yep. It's something that if you delve into sales, you hear so many people talk about it, but to see it truly in action, and also as we plugged in the systems with like everything from like fun things like flashcards to just the different ways that we have the team do it, so that they truly become an expert at streamlined communication, goal-oriented communication. Yeah. They know how to respond to certain situations, and they've repped it out enough that it's just reflexive.
Yeah.
And it makes them truly an expert.
Exactly.
And think about it, you don't buy from someone that doesn't know what they're talking about. You buy from someone that is an expert that knows what they're talking about. And so we've seen that make a big difference. And then and they've it's just been a wonderful part of our process. But then really it's like overarching, right? If you look at all the things, the biggest factor that is the one commonality that's led to the 24% increase in revenue in the first quarter from 2019 to 2021 is just making our model completely and exactly the franchise system.
Yes, yeah, implementing everything that we've systematized into our model at Athens, Georgia.
Yeah. So with our model that we've had for 8 years, we've run it a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
And
it's been our testing platform.
Yeah, and made a bunch of mistakes and had to do a lot of learning along the way. But really, it's like in 2020, it gave us the opportunity to not only build and refine the systems that were there, but then to cut the cord.
That's right.
And launch everything as just within the franchise system.
That's right.